Well, good morning. Travels with Dottie. Rob here. Dottie's in the co-pilot seat. George is sedated back in the cage back there. And we are on our way. I think I said in the video this morning I was going to Winslow, Arizona, and I got confused. That's only less than 100 miles from here. We are going to Kingman, Arizona. And that's 325 miles away. That's going to be the goal for the day. And we are taking off. And I'll show you at least one person said, I'd rather see the view even if it's raining. Okay, you can see the view. Hang on. I'll show you where I'm going to go to get gas, to gas up. And we are off. Checklist done. Lights are on. Little rainy, little windy.
Turn right on unpaved road, then take the first left.
Thank you, Garmin. And we've found the exit. I really like this USA RV park. It's got a nice little convenience store in there. Lots of pull-through sites. This time of year wasn't very busy. I said, can I get one like right next to the building? Oh yeah, there you go. $48 with tax. And quick walk to if you want to use the bathrooms, quick walk to the gift shop, and quick exit. Check it out.
Turn left on West Historic Highway 66.
We're going to be on Route 66. Not for long, but we're going to be on Route 66. So I told you I'm going to bring you to where I'm going to get gas. I don't know where that is, but I'm assuming I'm going to run into a big place I can pull into to put gas in my car. That's my story. That's what I think is true, and that's what we're gonna do. Boy, if you look at the sky, it looks like tornado weather, for heaven's sake. Look at that.
Well, in 1.25 miles. Turn left on I-40 West.
So I'm gonna guess up here at I-40, I see a big gas sign. It looks like a pilot or something, and I think that's where we're gonna go, gang. That's where we're going. Very nice, pleasant evening. Got a good night's sleep. George let him out of the cage in the trailer, and he was just fine, rubbing up against my chair, eating. Thank you again for my vet in Pahrump it's a Loves. Want some love? There's some Loves up here. We'll get some Loves and maybe we'll go in there and sneak a little breakfast. I don't know. It's a yellow light, but I'm going to make it through. You can't. It would have been a good test for the brakes, huh? Well, the brakes have been doing fantastic. I am absolutely convinced it is the brake fluid sensor.
1/2 mile. Turn left on I-40 West.
So we're going to pull into Loves. Oh, it's not Loves. It's sure it sure as heck looked like a Love sign, but it's not. It's 19 fuel stop. Well, I was gonna say one of my guilty pleasures is food in truck stops, like their burritos and the heated stuff under the heat tank. Sorry, I like it. Sorry, but I confess, I like it. So we've almost down to 1/8 of a tank of gas. So this is a good thing. So you really gotta pay attention when you pull on a trailer to these things, because there's a thing called tail swing. And when I come back out, I'm gonna tell you my tail swing disaster story, embarrassment. Right, shut her down. Well, let's pull it up a little bit more, because we realize we're blocking a lot by doing that. The hose can reach a little bit more. We're blocking a lot of people trying to come by. So let's do that. All right, I'll be right back. Well, we are fueled up. Little delay. I had to have the guy come out and reset the pump. froze. And I'm making a right here, and you can't really see the whole situation, but I'm not making a left because I won't make the turn, and the tail swing will damage my trailer. What do I mean by tail swing? Well, it's something that we don't need to worry about usually at all when we are driving a regular car or just a pickup truck. Tail swing happens when you have a longer vehicle or a trailer, especially a trailer, is when you make a turn. Your car could make it by an obstacle, but the trailer closes in on that corner. And let me tell you how I learned that lesson the hard way. I was in the fire department in Manchac, Texas, south of Austin, Travis County. And I was in training, and I had finished my basic firefighter school, and I was certified, state certified as a firefighter, and then I went for the state certification for driver operator, and that was a pretty long course. And a lot of it was driving the truck under supervision of a driver operator trainer. And one of the things they said in class that I didn't listen carefully to, or carefully no, that's not true. I was arrogant and I didn't think what they said applied to me. They said the biggest cause of accidents in apparatus is overconfidence. So we're on a training assignment, and my instructor says, pull into this gas station, let's gas up. And I wheel that thing in like a boss. Like a boss, my friends. Like a boss. Just wheeled that sucker in. Got a lot of oncoming traffic here. Anyway, I wheeled it in like a boss, went up to that, swung around the concrete barriers at the edge, and guess what? Suddenly, as I'm pulling up to the pump, it stops and a warning horn goes off, and I didn't know what happened. Well, what happened was I cut it too close. The tail swing caught the concrete barrier, and this is why they have concrete barriers next to gas pumps. And I did $10,000 worth of damage to the truck and earned myself a 30-day suspension from driving. So now I pay attention when people that know more than I do try to teach me something. For example, if they say overconfidence is the number one cause, I work now to not be overconfident. So that is my tail swing story. Now we're on the road and we have to go 323 miles to get to where we're going. Isn't that crazy? And it's raining worse than yesterday. Yeah, what? Yep, worse than yesterday. So, Dottie and I and George will talk to you a little later. Day 2. I can't believe I forgot to tell you this, what happened at the gas station. It scared me so much, I think my mind blanked on it. But when I was trying to figure out the gas pump that wasn't working, I kept hearing this beeping, and I assumed it was coming from the pump. So they sent somebody out to help me, and I haven't asked, is that pump coming, that beeping alarm coming from you or from me? And he says, I think it's coming from your trailer. So while he's looking at the pump, I walked around to the other side of the trailer to the door, and sure enough, I got to the door, and it's like, it's an alarm going off in my trailer. And I open the door, and the smoke comes pouring out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's on fire. And then I realized, oh, shit. Sorry for the swear word, but I've been having bug problems in the RV. So on this trip, I bombed it. So it wasn't smoke, it was the vapor coming out from the fogger to kill all the insects. And it was setting off the carbon monoxide and the propane, and that alarm was just going off, and there's nothing I can do about that. So I just closed the door. It's probably still beeping, but because we have a long travel day today, the rule is 4 hours, and then air the place out for about 30 minutes, and then you can go back in. So that's what we're gonna do before we settle in tonight, is air it out, go back in. By that time, the alarm won't be going off, but I'm sure it's the alarm's going off big time right now. But that scared the heck out of me, let me tell you, when I opened the door and smoke was pouring out. I probably took a big breath of it too. That can't be good. But then I breathed, oh my gosh, and I closed it back up. It was like, that's what it is. Let me tell you, that stuff, those bugs don't stand a prayer. And yes, all my food is here in a plastic bag here in the truck. So, and so are both the animals, George and Dottie. So don't worry about them. Anyway, I forgot to tell you that. Oh, one more thing. And I'd look this up, but obviously I can't look up stuff when I'm driving. It's raining a lot. One of the things I do when it rains a lot on the highway is I drive 55. And the reason I drive 55 is that I remembered back in the day when they made the national speed limit 55. It was to save gas, but there were some other benefits. And I remember one of the other benefits, I think, and you guys check me out on this and tell me in the comments if this is right. It's a safer speed to prevent hydroplaning in heavy rain and wet conditions. So see if I'm right about that. Put it in the comments if you'd like. Otherwise, I can look it up myself when I'm on dry land. So here's just a stretch of, even in the rain, beautiful scenery. Just check this out. It's a little hard to see when the 18-wheeler takes you swimming. Here comes another one. It's only a couple times in the past have I driven in the rain with the trailer on travel days, and it's not that bad. Like I mentioned yesterday, I think it's a little cozy, and it's a different way to see the landscape. It's a little bit more dramatic in a way, but I thought you'd enjoy seeing this little stretch of these beautiful I don't know if they're called buttes, mesas. I think mesas. Yes, and correct me in the comments. And I'll turn it back on if there's another interesting stretch. Hey, welcome to Arizona. We are now in Arizona. Let's see what the sign up here says. Minutes to Flagstaff, 149. Holbrook, I don't know Holbrook, but I know 149 minutes. It's a little over 2 hours. We'll be there before lunch. Exciting. Welcome to Arizona. Oh, and you know what? I forgot. I'm going to miss you, New Mexico. I'll see you at the end of May next year. Goodbye. Well, I'm no meteorologist, but this to me looks like in Arizona here, we're about to get a break in the weather. It looks pretty sweet up front there. It looks like this is the edge of the storm front. And hopefully it's going the opposite direction. It won't chase me. I really don't know. But I see a lot of light, and I see a big patch of blue sky right in the center there. It looks pretty cool. So there's your update. So I just thought of this last night. Of all the gadgets and hacks and everything I've done for RV life, there's one that I use multiple times a day, every day, and I'm always glad that I have it, and I've never mentioned it. I stole it from the idea. I didn't steal the device, but I stole the idea from Frugal RV Gal and Deborah Dickinson. And this is the, I have a retractable leash for Dottie. Here it is, but the thing is, this giant carabiner. Check this thing out. Oh, I'm hearing from George. That's not good. Georgie. So sorry about that. George didn't get sick, but he just wanted a little attention for a little while, I think. So I put my hand back there and he rubbed his head on it. Scratched me a little bit. Let me know he wasn't happy, but he didn't get sick. He seems fine now. So I was saying, this carabiner, and you can get them anywhere. They're very inexpensive. I keep this on the leash. So no matter where I go, I can hook it in so many convenient places when I don't have both hands to handle Dottie. And in particular, like in the, when I'm camping and I'm outside and I'm sitting outdoors in one of our outdoor chairs, I just clip it on the chair and Dottie's tethered and I don't need to worry about stuff. So this thing I use all the time. Yes, I'm wearing my weird glasses because somehow I lost my other glasses. I'm sure they're in the truck somewhere, but I had to grab my ugly ones. But I got to tell you these, well, two things. I stopped because I had to give George more meds. You can hear him kind of complaining, so we got to wait for him to get tranquilized. I give liquid medicine, and I think this morning too much got spit out, so I had to do another dose. So we're going to wait a little while until George calms down. But I went into the Burger King here, and I wanted a croissant sandwich, and they had a special 2 with tax. I don't 6%, 6.43%, $5.32. One of these sandwiches normally is $6 and something for one. So I'll just save one for tomorrow and reheat it, right, Dottie? That's what we'll do. But in the meantime, we're going to wait on George. And sorry about the funky red glasses. Well, guys, I think I have an announcement. I think I'm going to go to Pahrump today. I do have to make a stop. I have a phone call for about an hour, but I think I can make it. I think I can do it. Here's the good news. If I get tired, I can just pull over and stop. But I'm excited to get there. I think I'm going to get there. This feels good. Anyway, we are on our way, and it says arrival time 3:16, and we know that's a lot. That's never true. How about time to destination? How's that? 5 hours and 43 minutes, which adding my hours, it's 6 hours. So this is now, as my friend Deborah tells me, always add an hour on to Garmin time. So say 6:43, 7:43 with the stopping for an hour. So 8 hours. 8 hours would put me at 6:30, 7 o'clock. That's not bad to cut a day off. And plus, I added time because I'm going to have to fill up for gas. I'm sure I'll have to fill up for gas again. One more time. And basically, we're at 10.8 miles per gallon. It's costing me, if I'm going 350 miles in a day, it's costing me about $100 a day to be traveling like this. It costs me around close to $300 to go from Eagle Nest to Pahrump. Right, Dottie? All right, well, George is sedated again and well, it's going to be a stretch to say George is happy. but George is quiet and seems to be sleeping. So I will pick it up when there's something to see or something to say. Here's a definite change in topography. Looks like the Great Plains, about 54 miles from Flagstaff on I-40. So I jumped on to say the adventures and surprises never stop while I'm calmly driving. A message pops up in my iPhone saying, an iPad Pro has joined your Apple account. That's not good. That's someone that's a thief. That's got to be fraud. I don't own an iPad Pro. So someone's gotten hacked into, figured out what my password or something is, an Apple ID. And of course, as a nomad, what am I doing? I'm on an interstate with a long time between exits, and there's nothing I can do, period, right now until the next exit. So I thought I'd share that excitement with you. But there's an exit coming up. I'll get off, take care of it, change my password, and it'll be done. So I'm just coming out of a rest area here, trying to take care of George again. Thought he was going to do fine after I gave him a second dose. And he didn't get sick. He just was meowing and clawing at the cage and kind of biting me if I put my hand in there. Just very agitated. So one theory I have is that with this liquid medication instead of the pill, I thought it would be easier. But I'm like, the last dose I gave him the dose and I went inside the rest area. And I came out and I noticed there was medication just in a big blob dripping out of the corner of his mouth. So I'm thinking it looks like he swallowed and he's not. So I'm either not administering it right or I need to go back to the pills. And the last thing I'm trying here in desperation, since he's been fussing and not getting sick, is letting him out of the cage. So he's back there, poking around in the back seat, isn't making noise, seems preoccupied with poking around back there. And I don't know, maybe it'll be better outside of a cage. I don't know. But if he jumps up here and attacks me while I'm driving, we're all in trouble. I'll let you know how it goes. So that did not last very long. But so George was just complete agitated, not getting sick. This was different, just agitated in that cage. I said, fine, we'll see what you do if I let you out of the cage. So, as you can predict, one of the first places George had to be was under my friggin' feet. Anyone that's ever owned a cat and has ever taken a cat in the car, they go after your legs. If you're alone with a cat in a car and the cat is loose, the cat is going to go between your legs, under your legs, under the gas pedal, under the brake. Just like everybody's worst nightmare. That's what they do. I think it's programmed into them. So, she did a little bit of that, and I was able to maneuver so I could brake the car if I could get to the brake and without smushing the kitty. And she did try that spot with Dottie. And when she first got up there in Dottie's bed, Dottie was having none of it. But I defended George, yelled at Dottie. Dottie calmed down, but George decided, nah, not so much. So now he is probably in the best spot for him, and that is underneath the platform that Dottie's bed is at. Out of sight, in the dark, we'll probably go to sleep, and we'll have the fine rest of this. And I'm glad I've decided to go all the way to Pahrump, because I don't want to spend another day in the car with George. Holy mackerel. Anyway, we're in Flagstaff. Let me show you that. And I just realized I didn't have to stop it. You were already looking at Flagstaff. So here we are. And actually not far from the Grand Canyon. I understand there's a train somewhere around here, like kind of like the Chama train. That's a old steam locomotive that goes up into the mountains here, or into the Grand Canyon. Somebody knows about that, let me know. Might be worth checking out someday. But you can tell we've been climbing elevation all day. My gas mileage yesterday ended the day at about 12. Now we're at 10.1. So we've been going uphill for a while today. And if I'm correct, I think once we get to the peak here in Flagstaff, I think we're kind of coasting into Pahrump, or into the Las Vegas area. Then we have to go up again briefly to go over the mountain pass to get into Pahrump. But it's showing, it's 12:33, and I'm still on mountain time, but here it's an hour earlier, but I haven't, because of my meeting today at 2 o'clock, I'm not changing the car clock so I don't screw up and miss that meeting. But it shows 4.5 hours to Pahrump, and it's 12:30, so in an hour and a half, I'll have to stop and do my meeting, which means after my meeting ends at 3, which I'll confuse you, but what the hell? It's my job. It'll be 2 o'clock when I'm done. Pahrump time. It's West Coast time. And I'll have 3 hours to go, which means 3 hours according to Garmin is probably an exaggeration. So it's probably 3.5. So I would say my estimate is going to be I will pull in front of Preferred RV Resort at 5:38 p.m. West Coast time. 5:38 p.m. and I will when I flip it on, I'll say what the time is, and we'll see how accurate my predictions are here. But one of the things I've always liked about coming into Flagstaff is the kind of foresty feel. Lots of trees, evergreen pine trees. I've never really stayed in Flagstaff, spent any time here. A lot of people come up to this area to camp in the summer because it's a higher elevation. Let's see what the elevation is here. Come on. You can do it. No, that didn't do it. Come on. There it is. 6,866 feet right here. And I'll leave it on. Let's see while we're driving, if it gets any higher than that. But that's a nice elevation.
Be in either of the 2 left lanes.
I just want to follow the signs for Los Angeles, 40 West. But we will not be going to Los Angeles. But I can do either of the left lanes here, so we're good. You can go 17 south there, US 17 to Phoenix. 6893. So I think we're going to start going down from here. So I'd say 6,900 feet, and there's probably national forest land around here that's a little bit higher. It's 64 degrees out there right now at 12:36. So I'm imagining you could find some comfortable places to camp here in the summer. Yeah, look at that. Look at that deep, thick forest up there. Isn't that great? So I'm going to guess it's not unusual to find 7,000 feet elevation camping. There's a state trooper watching for speeding offenders, and that's never me. See, it's 65, and I'm doing 50. I think I can do better than that. I think I can do 62. I didn't realize I was going so slow. This truck's probably going to be pissed at me. He's like, I went around you, and now you're speeding up? Well, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was going only 50. I thought I had my cruise control on. Well, I did, but it was set at 50. I don't know how that happened. I'm going to plead the fifth. Don't know how it happened. It was probably the cat. It's probably George. All right, I'll be back. I just thought I'd give you another beautiful vista shot. I'm still on I-40. It's about 1:22 in about 30 minutes. I'm going to have to stop for my meeting. And then I'll be on the road again for about another 3.5 hours. And we will be at our destination. But I just wanted you to see this little stretch of road here. We'll wait until we go around the corner and you can see the valley. And just to reassure anyone that's following me, zero problems with the brakes. The brakes are fine. You know, I've had an engine light on for 2.5 years, and it's an engine light it's called a knock sensor. I think it has to do with detecting problems in the cylinders. And I had it checked out. They said, there's nothing wrong. It's a bad sensor. How much is it? $50? Okay, go and place it. He said, whoa, it's $50 for the sensor and $11.95 for the labor because we got to pull the engine. And I asked the guy, so what's the downside for me not doing this? And he said, well, the downside is you're going to have that... That's a permanent code, and you're going to have your engine lights going to be on 24/7 for the rest of the life of the truck until you replace that. And, I said, well, I've got one of those readers. I can check that every once in a while and check it when something doesn't seem right. He said, well, it's probably good enough, so that's what I did. Nice view, huh? See you in a bit. Well, I finished my meeting. It is 2:09 p.m. West Coast time. So friends on the East Coast, I'm 3 hours behind you now. And I have 231 miles to go before I'm home. So we're gonna call that 4 hours. So I think I've already blew my estimate of 5:45, and I have to go through Las Vegas rush hour traffic, so 4 hours would be not very realistic. So I'm gonna have to crank it ahead an hour and say I will arrive 6:30, revising the estimate. 18:30 hours for you military types out there. I took one of the, these things, those little 5-hour energy drinks that you see by the register everywhere, the convenience stores. They friggin' work. They work. The only time I take them is when I'm driving and anytime I'm feeling the least bit drowsy or not with it, I take one of those, and really not more than one a day. I just took one, and it's probably their little placebo effect happening, but I'm feeling pretty energetic, and I just downed it walking from the convenience store door to the truck. I filled up with gas again. Now we got quite a hike, about a 60 or 70, 60 cent, it seemed like, hike in the price of gas per gallon from New Mexico to Virginia. So it cost me, the first fill up cost me 95. This one cost me 119. So here we go, and maybe the next time I see you, it's going to be showing you Las Vegas. So I was on the phone with my brother, and I'm like losing signal. I said, I'm losing signal, but I'm going to hang up on you anyway because you're not going to believe what I'm driving through. Holy crap. This is amazing. And I missed a bunch of it because I was yapping away to my brother. Look at this. I've done this before, but I forgot what this drive was like. I forgot, guys. Look at this. Ah. It's remarkable. It really is. Wow. I promised my brother I'd call him back when I got signal, so I think I'm over the worst of the signal blockage. But I hope this little cell phone camera does what I'm seeing justice, and that you can maybe feel a little bit of what I'm feeling as I'm driving through here. I'm 189 miles away from home at this point, so going about 60 miles an hour. So what's that? About 3 hours. It's almost 3 o'clock. So, but I have to get through Las Vegas. I'm gonna stick with me for a little. The elevation here is 4,000 feet. We're still at about 10 miles to the gallon for the whole trip. We're coming up on 600 miles, 597 right now that we've traveled yesterday and today. But anyway, that's what it looks like here. I'm going to try to call my brother back. Okay, so this, guys, is 93 and heading in to Las Vegas. And you hear hesitation in my voice because I don't quite know whether we're in Nevada yet. I haven't been paying attention to the details because I've been driving and talking to my brother. So if we're not in Nevada right now, we're about to be, because I think 153 miles from Pahrump, which means we're about 100 miles from Las Vegas, because it's 53 miles or so, very close to that, from Las Vegas to Pahrump. And I'm going to be hoping that we don't have too hard a time with rush hour in Pahrump. But we've got a ways to go, and it's been nice. This nice topography. Well, here I know it's not looking too interesting now that we're at the hill, but when we crest this hill, I think it might be a view worth seeing. Wish you could see to the left and to the right of me. Well, there's too much haze to see the big mountains and stuff, so I'll turn it back on when it gets interesting again. Okay, we have more amazing topography here. We're about 50 miles south of Las Vegas, but look at this. It looks like the freaking Grand Canyon. It's not, of course, but it's pretty amazing, and it's so dramatic. I'm a little nervous driving. Better hope those brakes are really good. I hope I'm right about the brakes, huh? I'm kidding. The brakes are fine. But I thought you'd really enjoy this stretch, and I think it goes on for a while. So I'll try to keep you a little entertained. Now that I say that, I'm speechless on everything they say. But it's such a privilege to do this, these drives between here and New Mexico, and between Pahrump and Quartzsite, just crisscrossing the Southwest is just such a privilege. It's so beautiful. Lake Mead National Recreation Area. So we're getting near Lake Mead, which is the lake created by the famous Hoover Dam. it's we go through Las Vegas. It's difficult to imagine that just 100 years ago or so, Las Vegas wasn't much. It was a little town, not much going on. And my first encounter with Las Vegas was when I left the East Coast at age 24. My cat and I, my cat's name was, I didn't name the cat. Cat's name was Bunny. Bunny and I hopped in my Mustang convertible with no air conditioning. It's important to this story. And we pointed south, and we had a companion with us, a woman that was a friend of mine, and she had friends in California, so she decided she'd go with me. So I had some companionship, which was nice. And we pulled into Las Vegas, and the heat was so oppressive that the cat was getting heat stroke. It was so bad that the first place we went was a vet hospital. I bring Bunny into the vet hospital. They took one look at her, snatched her out of my arms, and ran her into the back, and she had to spend the night. And basically they said, if you try to take her to Los Angeles from here during the day, she might not survive. I'm like, oh boy, what do I do? And for some reason, making the trip at night didn't occur to me, or there was some reason we couldn't do it, or maybe the woman with me had to be there at a certain time. I don't remember. But I do remember the solution. The solution was to do a one-way car rental that she would drive with Bunny, and I would drive the Mustang. And it was, I don't know, $170 or $200. And back then, this is in 1984, it was a big chunk of change. And so the reality was, I was driving in the desert, just dying of heat. And my friend and Bunny were in a Cadillac because they felt bad for me because it was so much for one way. They gave me like a luxury car. I don't know if it was a Cadillac, but it was a fancy big car, maybe a Lincoln. I don't remember. What I do remember is her description of Bunny would occasionally hop up to the front seat, stick her nose casually in the air conditioning vent, and go back and curl up and go to sleep. Meanwhile, I was just dripping and dying in the Mustang. So it was one night in Las Vegas, and I don't even know if we went to a casino. And my next encounter was months later after I finally got a job. Oh my gosh, I went from, I think, May, or I think I got there May or June. Probably June. It was so hot, it must have been June. And it took me till November to land a job. But a buddy got to know a really great guy named Les at work there, and he said, why don't you come and meet my wife in Las Vegas this weekend? We're going to have a blast. So I discovered the joy of driving from LA to Vegas for the weekend, which is a pretty easy drive. And I stayed at Circus, and it was wonderful. So this was in 84, early 85, and so considered now to be the old days of Las Vegas, right? And then I started making trips back in the 90s when I had moved to Texas working for Neiman Marcus. And I was making business trips there because we had a Neiman Marcus store in Las Vegas. And I would stay at the Desert Inn. That was in the mid-90s. So, and now the third time around is living in Pahrump for the past, it's going to be coming up on 3 years. It's my home base. The last time in Las Vegas, it was to buy tires. The time before that, it was to meet my friend Jeannie for dinner or lunch, or dinner, I think it was, on the outskirts. And the time before that, I did go to a casino to eat with a friend of mine. But the real reason I wanted to go to Las Vegas was to go to the Pawn Stars pawn shop. And I saw, of course, none of the Pawn Stars, and it's kind of a tourist trap. But it is their Rick Harrison, the owner. It is his pawn shop. But didn't get to see him or Chumley or anybody else. But it was nice to go in there and see it. I don't even know if they shoot any of the episodes in there or not, or they're in a studio now. I'm not sure, and I'm not even sure it's still going. It's been years. And then every other time since then, it's been like today, driving through. There's an alternate way to go from Quartzsite up to Pahrump, and it goes through California. And I did that one time just to avoid Las Vegas, not thinking that I'm going to have to buy gas in California on that trip. And boy, and I regret that. It was, $5.50, $6 a gallon, so that was horrible. I won't do that again. I will tolerate saving the money. I will tolerate going this way. And that'll happen in March. I'll be coming up from Quartzsite up to Pahrump. And I know this is kind of a long stretch of road, but those of you that enjoy seeing the countryside go by, I think this is a nice, good one to have a long stretch of you enjoying the scenery. And I think I'll definitely keep it on until we get a glimpse of Lake Mead, which is coming up pretty soon. And then I'll shut it off and then turn it on again in that portion of Las Vegas where you can see the Strip. Most of it, all you can see is highway and traffic. It's not very interesting. But there is a short stretch, excuse me, off to the right where you'll be able to see the Strip. Look at these mountains. One of the things that some people don't connect with is the beautiful wilderness areas right on the outskirts of Las Vegas. There are mountains and lakes and just all kinds of really interesting things. And you kind of get a taste of it here. We're not that far from Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, here comes a sign here. It'll tell us exactly how far. We're 35 miles from Las Vegas. And look at what you can be in 35 miles outside of Las Vegas. It's pretty remarkable. Very impressive. And I suspect I'm going to get quite a few comments on how much you enjoyed this part of the trip. I hope. So this is the sort of the end of the day where Dottie has slept enough, and she's up, sitting up, and just kind of looking at me and listening to me talk, wondering, who are you talking to this time? Because I don't hear anybody talking back. Before, well, I guess no, I had my earplugs in when I was talking to I've talked to my brother and my sister, but two sisters and my brother. I've talked to everybody but my brother Frank, and I didn't bother him because he's still recovering from his knee surgery, and it might not be his favorite thing to do to talk while he's struggling with that. And I did talk to my nephew. I talked to my nephew for a little bit. Kingman Wash. You see that sign there? Every time going the other way, I think, Kingman, I'm near Kingman already? And it's like, not that Kingman. Wrong Kingman. As you can tell, we're pretty far from Kingman, because that's where we were. And it's been pretty much all day on the road. So Kingman and Kingman, Arizona, and Kingman Wash, two very different things. But Kingman Wash means we're very near Lake Mead. There's a cool looking bridge coming up. And I think I might need to sort of do one of these things. Sort of aim it to the right a little bit. I may have to manually do it. Oh, because I know this is a little awkward, but I'm trying to aim it to the right so you get a nice view of the lake as much as we possibly can. I don't know how successful this is going to be, guys. I'm trying. And my apologies if you don't get a good look. But I can't do much manipulation because it's dangerous driving. And it might be like right here, you might see a little something. And doesn't look like it. Maybe up further. Not here. I see big power lines, which means we're near the dam, and it's in. And I really got to pay attention that there was warning signs, strong crosswinds. So there you can see the giant power lines coming from the dam. The dam is right down there, I think. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't really see much because that barricade. I'm sorry. And there's a lot of heavy traffic. And we're about to cross the Nevada border. Right here. You can see the sign on the right, Nevada. But, you know, it's just a maze of electrical lines because that Hoover Dam is now you might have seen the sign that said Pacific Time Zone. Hey, you talked about a time change before, but you just need to know that Arizona does not recognize daylight savings time, so it can get confusing. Yeah, you're not going to get to see the lake, I don't think. You could kind of see it coming the other way. There's a view of it, but not so much on this side. So I'm gonna sort of Hoover Dam, Lake Mead National Recreation Area, next exit. So It's kind of the best I can do with one hand and driving. I'm sorry, this isn't better. And I tell you, if we were to stop and get out of the car and look over that guardrail, it would be pretty spectacular. But we can't do that. So it's 4:30 p.m. West Coast time, and we're 86 miles from home. So in probably 2 hours, because I'm going to plan on things coming to a stop when we get to Las Vegas. But if we were unencumbered, it would be an hour and a half. But we're going to be encumbered, I believe. And we're at 10.2 miles per gallon, and we've gone 698 mile, or 699. So we've come 700 miles since we left Eagle Nest, our spot, yesterday morning, about 8:30. You know, I've mentioned this more than once, that every time I move, every time I hitch up my trailer, as I anticipate it, I get nervous. Because this is everything that I own, and everything physical thing that is dear to me is being dragged behind my truck. And inevitably what happens is, once I get on the road, I'm perfectly fine. Like, I feel not nervous at all right now. There's a touch of it when I get into heavy traffic. Like, there'll be a little bit of it going through Las Vegas. That back there where I said I was wowing the vista, and how I almost got a little vertigo. The drop was so dramatic off the side of the road. You probably couldn't see that with the camera facing forward. So it was a touch of being nervous there. But my point is that every time I get nervous about pulling my life down the road, and as soon as I start doing it, I'm comfortable. I know people have accidents and lose their rigs. It happens. But I like to think that I do everything I can to minimize the chances of that happening, including at 75, I'm mile per hour speed limit, I go 62. I am very aware of following people too closely. I leave plenty of room. I have a rear camera that's always on, that I can see who's directly behind me. I use a tire pressure monitoring system, which is not working great this trip. We're going to have to either figure out the battery situation or buy a new monitoring system. It may be at the end of its life. And I feel pretty good about minimizing the chances of something happening. No matter how much you do, you're at the mercy of other people often. You know, I see these guys, and I say guys, it could be gals. I see these individuals driving big 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks, pulling a 15, 20, 25,000 pound fifth wheel, whizzing by me going 80 miles an hour. And I think, what are they thinking? They must not know anything about mass, weight, and inertia. I am, even with my little 5,000 pound at the most trailer, I understand that that weight and inertia is stopping this vehicle going, what I'm doing 62 right now, is a very different thing from stopping this vehicle without a trailer. Even though there are electronic brakes on the trailer, it's still, you're fighting that tremendous inertia power, and the more weight you're pulling, the bigger that issue is. Not to mention the side of your rig, your trailer, being at the mercy of the wind. It's not very aerodynamic from the side, especially. So I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to bring you back again for when we go by the strip. It won't be very exciting. Spoiler alert, you can sort of barely see it, but I'm going to film it for you. And then I'll film the arrival in Pahrump. And the last thing I'll film is after I back the trailer into my spot, I'll put it on me and I'll do my closing. And here is finally a much better shot. There we go. Yeah, no haze. Look at that. There it is. I see the Strat. It's the big tower. Now, here we are. We have finally reached the outskirts of Las Vegas, and that means we're 45 miles away from home, 45 miles from here to the center of Pahrump. Over the hump, meaning these mountains in front of you, we got to go over those mountains. Now, there are people that say, Rob, you're not in Las Vegas, and that's true. We're in an area outside of Las Vegas where if you lived here, your postal address would say Las Vegas. But even part of the strip, the lower part of the strip, is not in the city of Las Vegas. It's Clark County, and there are lots of other places all around Las Vegas with other names, townships, I guess, in areas that are in Clark County, have a Las Vegas postal address but aren't in the city of Las Vegas. But this is, most of the businesses in Las Vegas are behind us, and we have just sort of an open road in front of us, and that's 44 miles from here. We'll see it at the top of the hump. So this is the mountain pass. Getting kind of close to the top here. When I came through here from Quartzsite last year in March, there was snow. Both sides, snow. And what does it say here? This is the Spring Mountains National Recreation Area. And you're going to get sun in your eyes here in a minute, because there it goes. It's kind of bright. As promised, this is the Pahrump Valley in front of us. Way off in the distance is Pahrump. We're about 10 miles out. Into the extreme left side of your screen, where you see this kind of the glow of the sunset, those mountains are in California. Well, guys, we have made it. We are in Pahrump. This is it. We're 2 miles from home. Those of you who haven't seen it, show you my little hometown of Pahrump here. I really miss this place. I know it doesn't seem like much, but it grows on you. People have also said to me, well, Pahrump, that's an odd place. I said, yes, it is. I like it. I like it a lot. Talk about the home stretch. I'm excited. 1.5 miles. They have casinos in Pahrump. Small ones. This one on the left up here. I used to go there for their buffet, they had a ribeye buffet, but I discovered that one off the beaten path called Terrible's Roadhouse. Terrible's is a kind of chain of convenience and gas stations, but they also have a casino and restaurant. It's called the Roadhouse, and they have amazing deals on their buffet, and I really enjoy going there. And coming up on the right here, you're going to see the Gold Town Casino. And the Pahrump Nugget is next to that. They're both owned by the same company. And we're going to be turning on a street right between those two, because that's where home is.
In 1/2 mile, turn right on South Frontage Road.
Do you hear that?
The first right.
Take a right in 1/2 mile. That was 0.4 miles. And guys, this is exciting. We are here. We made it. So if I were a gambler, I could walk to these two arguably the nicest casinos in town are right here, but I'm not a gambler. I did eat with a friend of mine that insisted on taking me to the steakhouse at the Pahrump Nugget, and it was the best steak I've ever had. I've been to, in my business days, I've been to some pretty fancy steakhouses on business engagements.
Turn right at the traffic light.
And this was still the best I've ever had. And I think it was just like a New York strip, not what you would expect, and they also have the this opened last year, the Pink Box Donut place. I think it's a Las Vegas thing, but I remember the opening for that was out of control. The parking lot had hundreds of people in it. I was going to do a video and I couldn't even get close. But I did get there a couple days later and bought a few donuts. They're pretty damn good, let me tell you. They are good. And up here on the right is Preferred RV Resort. Look at the signs right up here. And I'm pretty happy to be here, my friends. Pretty happy. The way it works if you ever come here is you park here on the street and you kind of walk into the little office there. You don't drive in. Park here to register. So we're going to park right up here where it says park here to register. And we'll be back. So here's the closing today's video, and I'm not in my car anymore. And it's the next day. It's the next morning. It's like 6:50 in the morning. And I apologize for not finishing it yesterday, but sometimes exciting, amazing things happen really quickly. I was really excited because, it's luck of the draw on what spot you may or may not get. And they've gotten to know me here a little bit, and they knew I had friends in a particular area. So they gave me 3 sites to choose from, and I brought my e-bike out and went and checked the 3 sites. And the first one I went to right there was one of my friends, and I stopped in the site, and then 2 other friends came out. I'm surrounded by my friends. It's across from the laundry. It's a beautiful spot for Starlink. It's essentially, it's perfect. It's a perfect spot, and I'll show it. I'll do shorts on it, like I usually do. Here's my new campsite and everything. And it was really an extraordinary day. And I hope you really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed the trip a lot. I mean, I set it up to be 3 leisurely days, and I did 2 hard days, the second one in particular. And the arrival time was 6:20, and I think that was my second prediction, if I'm not wrong. But I did learn a lesson. I learned a couple lessons. Well, the softer lesson, the one that isn't all that valuable, is there are a couple of things I'm going to be editing out, things I said out loud that I'm going to edit it out because I don't feel good about what I said. Sort of reactions to things happening in traffic and things that I'm seeing. And I got thinking, if I'm saying these things and having this attitude and I'm ashamed to put it on my YouTube channel, maybe I should think about changing my attitude and not saying those things. So that was the real lesson. So anyway, I love it when you watch these videos. I'm in Pahrump. I'm excited. I'm in a great mood, and I'm going to do a ton of fun videos. And in 2 months, we're going to be in Quartzsite. And then I'm going to just deluge. I'm going to deluge you. You're going to get in your inboxes and notifications. Rob, Travis Zadati, Quartzsite. And I hope you love it. See you tomorrow.